Okay.
Well, let me just say this right out the gate because I want to be completely honest with the people who are watching. You and I have never met. We've
No, we
never
haven't.
met. I met you, or I know you through one of my dearest, dearest sisters, Terry.
Oh,
And
Terry.
yeah, and she just goes, Natalie, Natalie, I'm like, who the hell is Natalie? Why are you always talking about her? Talk about me. No, I'm just kidding. That's the Scorpio in me. But she just spoke highly of you. And so I thought, okay, and this was during the pandemic. And I was really trying to stay in shape. And it was tough, like for everybody else. I wanted to sit around and eat and drink and relax and not do anything. And she was like, you got to take these classes. You got to take these classes. The first class I took with you, I said, this chick kicked my ass. Like, oh my God. Like, ah. So, but I want to give you the opportunity first to really, and I on purpose, which is the opposite of the journalistic person inside of me, I on purpose did not do a whole lot of research about you because I really wanted to get to know you personally as opposed
Oh,
to
cool.
something that I read or something that someone said. I said, I follow her, so I know all about the healthy routine and all that. So we gonna get into that. We'll get into that a little bit later. But just
Okay.
talk to me a little bit about who Natalie is as you would like to be known, as opposed to um, sometimes the crafted narrative of social media, or when other people meet you and they kind of write what they think about you. Who are you to you?
Oh, that's a great question. It's funny. One of my client that just left here, she's how old is she? She's young. She's maybe like 23. And being that I'm going to be 55 next month, it's like, it's makes me feel, what's the word? I'm trying to think of a good word, but proud of the fact
I was
that
gonna say
women
proud.
half my age come to
Yeah.
me to help get them in shape. And I think they find it inspirational because of the fact that I am like the age of their mom. You know what I mean? So, I think because they are able to look into the future and see that as possibly something that they can obtain as long as they take care of themselves. And she used three words that she described me as before when she first came to my class at Equinox to one of my classes, and she said it was what did she say? It was there was 3 Ds. It was I forgot the first one, but it was don't fuck with me and dedication. I
Oh.
forgot what the first one was. It was I wish I remember now. She just said it, but I was like, oh, I will take that. So God, I wish I can remember what the first one was. It was a D, but I just thought that was really cool. So I wrote those down, and of course I don't remember. It was
Well,
only
that's why
like
you
30
wrote them
minutes
down.
ago.
Like that's
Huh?
why you
Yeah,
wrote
well,
it.
brain fog now, being in a menopause, forget it. It's like, what can you remember?
Ain't that the
But
truth, girl? Don't get
you
me
know,
started.
I mean, I think that how people describe me has changed as I've gotten older. I know goofy was, a term that I used to get when I was a lot younger. Oh yeah, I was like goofy. I mean, I had glasses and braces, and it was just, I mean, I actually need braces again. I had this underbite I got to deal with, but yeah, I think that as I've gotten older, I've become more confident and secure in myself. Whereas when I was younger, how we are, the majority of us, and I definitely didn't peak in school at all
Oh,
whatsoever.
girl.
I was definitely goofy. Uh, Glasses and braces. I was thin, not skinny, but I was thin. But I had always aspired to be athletic for whatever reason it is. I'm not sure why or where that came from, but when I was in school, like when I was in junior high, I pushed really hard to like get the presidential fitness award, and I wanted to be an athlete. But from the time of infancy until like I don't even know when, I had really bad asthma, and
Oh,
that
wow.
is what you would easily find if you Google me. I talk about that all the time, and that made it really difficult for me to become athletic because of the fact that every time I tried to do something I wanted to do, breathing was difficult. That got in the way. And I didn't have any mentors at all. There was
Wow.
nobody that I could go to and I'm kind of disappointed when I think back at the fact that I had this ability that no one had seen. Maybe I wasn't understanding how to put it out there, put myself out there to my coaches or anybody and say, hey, can you help me out? I just, as soon as we did something that felt uncomfortable, I left
Mm.
and
So
I
now,
quit.
are you from California originally? Like, is this your home
Yes,
or you moved here?
the Bay Area. It's the San
Oh,
Jose,
I heard you don't
San
fuck with
Jose,
the Bay.
California.
They say
Huh?
you don't fuck with the Bay. That's what I heard. You don't mess with the Bay.
Right? Yeah, I'm from San Jose, California, born and raised, and I moved to LA about 23 years ago. I think I was like
Oh wow.
30, 31, and I just wanted to go. I just wanted to come out here and do something different. And I went to San Jose State University and I studied sports management. Never did anything with it. I ended up training, and that kind of happened by accident too, while I was going to school. But there was a lot of things that were happening at one time. So I went on tour with MC Hammer for 2 years,
Oh my
and I was
God. What were you
yeah,
doing on tour with MC Hammer?
right. So I was 21 years old, a cute little flat chested girl, and I
But
was at a
living your best
club,
life,
and
honey. Hammer was what? Here come the hammer. Woo!
they
You
saw me
know?
at a club. I didn't even know that they were there, and I was approached and said, "Hey, you want to be a dancer for us?" I'm like, "I don't dance. I'm not a dancer." And they're like, "Well, we saw you grooving on the dance floor." And I think what they were trying to do was avoid having like auditions because they knew it was going to be crazy. So they were going by word of mouth and just kind of seeking people out. But
Yeah.
long story short, I went to do the not auditions, but rehearsal, and it was hard. I was able to do it, but not as well as the girls that were coming in. And then Felton Pilot, who was in charge, he was a Confunction band member, and he was in charge of putting the band together for Hammer. And he asked me one day, "Hey, do you happen to know how to play keyboards?" And I said, "Well, I played piano a bit growing up." So he sat me down, and I think really they just wanted some eye candy there because they already had like three brilliant keyboardists,
Probably.
including himself. So I was just like the fourth one, and it was really simple. It was actually no, it was three of us. It was really easy. So I just played some basic melodies and had some parts, and it was fun. It was a crazy experience, a very very
I
crazy
would imagine with
experience.
Hammer. Oh my God. I can't.
Yeah, I
First
mean,
of
it
all,
was insane.
I was such a huge, I mean, who wasn't? Like back in the day, Hammer was just, he was everything. He was, he was like a superhero to us, right? We'd never seen anybody like that.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I think that it was. He's not. I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad, but in terms of
Go
his
on and tell us,
ability. I mean,
girl.
no, no, no. I'm just saying, maybe he's not the rapper that, people, but, he was smart and he came up with this really cool sound and it was fun. And I think that's what we need now, like just fun. We want to dance. We want more joy. And he was entertaining everybody. I mean, we entertained, and there was like a million people on stage and, it was just like there were so many different things to look at. And
I
so I
do
think
think
that's
that
what
that
was so cool about
performance
it.
is such a lost art. And it's so funny you would talk about fun. One of the things that really drew me to you, even because the whole purpose of me doing this was, I know, and I've said this a gazillion times, that every time March rolls around, we swap stories about all of these amazing women throughout history who've done just incredible things. But I felt that we never take the opportunity to even look at the brilliance in the people who surround us, like the giants who walk amongst us. And I thought, for me, I'm also going to spread that information about, historical people, but I wanted to also shine the light on people that I see every day who are still here, who are still exacting positive change within the community and within the culture. And I said, some of these people I will know, people that I've met, throughout my career. And there will be a lot of people that I've never met that I think are fucking awesome. And people that I know through other people that I've not met before, such as you. And when I put my list together, I was like, Natalie's on my list. And they were like, who the hell is Natalie? I was like, you don't know Natalie? You don't know Natalie. Meanwhile,
You're gonna
I
know me
didn't know
now.
Natalie. And
You
so
need to. No.
no, that, let me tell you why. I think, and again, I think it is because sometimes we as women, and not to slight anyone else, because I know we all have our dragons to slay, but I think as women, we have so many things that are against us from, are we awkward when we're first starting out? Are we goofy? Are we, um, blossoming the way everybody else is at the same time. And then it gets into, well, are we smart? Are we
Right.
fast? Are we athletic?
Right.
Are we still
Right.
pretty? Are we overweight? Are we this? Are we that? Are we young? There are just so many things as a woman that you have to deal with professionally that outside of just trying to live, right? You
Right.
got to deal with all of these things, including aging. And I began to follow you after that workout. And I said, you know what now? My body says no, but my mind is telling me yes, that we need this workout. Okay. And let me not make a reference to that. But it was true. Like I kept thinking, you know, as I began to age, you know, I want to be able to talk about it. I was scared to talk about it, especially in the world of entertainment. And you already know, being from California and certainly living in LA, age is taboo. It's something you don't talk about. You can speculate, but you don't talk
Right.
about it. And
Right.
watching you, I thought I have to highlight her because you give, first of all, you're honest and you're straightforward about who you are. I rarely see a post that you don't say, I'm in my 50s. That's right. And look at this. And I'll be like, damn, look at that. How do I get my legs to look like that? And the girl you said was your client, 23, I know she's got to be looking at you like, this chick right here looks better than me. And so I think it's important to say to people, I see you. And I think what you're doing is awesome. And in many ways, you have given me the courage to say, I'm 56. How about it? Get into this. All of this drip, drip, drip at 56. Still don't look as good as you, right? But I'm working on it. And so I think those types of things are important in terms of women celebrating and sharing and just trying to, live and be happy. I was like, what happened to her? I'm just running my mouth,
I
honey.
no, and then it just stopped. But you froze, but in a beautiful way. I would have been like,
Oh,
oh,
awesome.
but you're back. I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah, but
And my
I don't even
son was
remember
okay.
where you lost me
Okay,
or where I lost you.
you were talking about all the labels that we as women have to deal with, and then how I'm honest about my age, and that being in the entertainment industry, it's like, people, it's
Perfect.
taboo to
Yeah.
talk about your age.
Yeah, but I think that and for me, just watching you, it gave me courage to begin to, now I'm not going to lie and say, "Oh, it just happened instantly and I was able to talk about those things." But it began to make me reassess the way I looked at aging and seeing that, okay, we've heard, at least I've heard for the past, I don't know, 10 years of my life, that you don't have to be your age and that there's certain things that you can do. But to actually see it and be able to watch it on a daily basis and to hear the tips. Now, I'm not going to lie and say I can cook like you because you be putting some stuff together that I've
Oh.
tried one recipe and it was not good at all. I was like, I don't know what she was eating, but this ain't it. It was not good to me. I was like,
Oh
I don't
no.
know what she did, but that was awesome. But I mean, at what point have you always been that way? Have you always, just been like, I'm always going to be honest about aging. I'm always going to be honest about the difficulties or some of the things that are easier. Have you always thought about it in terms of being a woman in that way?
Interesting. You know what? I don't, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure. I think that just kind of happened because I know I had a couple friends that around me that were actresses, and they never told me their age.
Hmm.
I just have to guess. I mean, at this point, you got to be at this level because I'm like, I always felt like, why are you just like not being honest with it about it? And I understand that if you're an actress, and this was back then, like in the 2000s, where I suppose that mattered. I don't know if it still does. I'm not an actress, so I'm not sure. But and I assume that yeah, it's harder for women to get work now, right? As we
Yes.
get older. But I just got to a point where like I didn't
Oh,
want to talk about menopause at first. Um, and I would say I never lied about my age, except if, unless I wanted to be older to get into a club or something back in the day when I
right.
was 18 or 19. But I think as I got older and I just was like, when I teach classes, for example, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this, and I'm like, I'll say like when I was 42, and you're freaking 22, the fuck, get your ass up. You know what I mean? I understand if you have an injury or something like that, but if I'm
Right,
able to
right.
do it, You know what I mean? And yes, it takes a lot of hard work. It does. It's like it's not something you just get overnight. And I have to remind myself I can't compete with these youngins that are on, social media now, and it's really it can be really tough and rough on you.
Yeah.
It's hard,
I,
and
without
and
without question. And I think because we see it all the time, like you can't
yeah,
even get away from it. Like the minute you think I've got my confidence, then you log on to social media and like this bitch, like
exactly, exactly. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then they say, oh, everybody's got their own things going on. I get it, but you know, it's just it's not that it's what you perceive somebody to be like, and then so that you just have to get out of your head and be like, you know what, this is me, this is who I am, so I'm going to work on the best version of me that I can be, and if you love
and
it,
what
you
does
love it.
that
If you
look like
don't,
for you? What do you think over the years? Because I know you via social media. So I don't really know. I know what my issues are in terms of getting older and some of the things that I think about. But what do you think for you, um, in terms of aging? Do you think that or really what made you pinpoint this is what I need to work on and this is how I'll fix it?
um well, I had gone, like, when I started training, I got into weight training when I was 19.
Oh
and
wow.
and so leading up to that, like I was saying, I wanted to be athletic because of my asthma. I was like trying to do things here and there, but I was introduced to I went to a Gold's Gym in San Jose, like a small spot. Met with this trainer. Two girlfriends of mine that were older than me took me there, and I fell in love. I was like, wow, this is incredible. I felt so empowered. This was it. This was it. It just clicked like that. And then a few years later, I went to do take Taekwondo. Once again, it was like, what? I felt like a superhero. So those two together
Hmm.
made me feel like I was different and special, and that made me feel strong. And so I pursued those two, methods of whatever you want to say. I pursued strength training. I pursued, or exercise, I should just say, working out. Period. And the martial arts just was like amazing, and I just happened to be really good at it, and I had no idea. And from there, my instructor, who um, he was well known in the martial arts world, and well known in like doing stunt work and all that stuff, and he asked me to help him start a kickboxing program when he met with Billy Blanks and then brought it back to San Jose.
Mm.
I had no idea I was going to be good at group fitness. You don't really know until you do something, right? And so
Right.
as I was going on and doing, and as I got older, then I was like noticing, things are changing a little bit. Not only um myself in terms of how I was looking and feeling, but also just in general, like with exercise. It's forever changing, right? There's always something new, and something that they say you should be doing or should not be doing.
Yes.
And so at one point I got to a point where I was doing stuff with Jillian Michaels, and we were doing a ton of hit stuff. And nothing against her, it's just that was what was going on. Everybody was talking about hit, hit, hit. So I was doing all this hit. I was teaching hit. I was at home, and I would do like a circuit. I would do a round of boxing and go run around the block and come back and then do like some, like whatever. It was just like a lot of hit, to a point where that's all I was doing. My body was not
Wow.
reacting that well. And I was in my early to mid 40s when I started noticing my body was changing.
What's the first
And
thing
I
you
was like,
noticed in your change? What's the first thing you noticed?
I noticed that, like, my ass, I mean, I never had a big ass, but just a nice size, but my butt was getting droopy from, like, because I was running a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and not sprinting but running. So and I just naturally have to lift weights. I have to. And so my butt got droopy. I started looking skinny fat. I started noticing cellulite in areas I didn't have. And that's because I was under eating and doing too much cardio. And so then,
Interesting.
yeah, and that was just too much. I wasn't eating enough carbs. For a long time, I was eating mostly, like, I didn't even, it wasn't even because there was no keto that I knew of back then. So I was mostly eating kind of paleo, I guess you could say, but just not enough carbs. And carbs are so important.
But it's so funny. Like I feel like again, one of the reasons why I really began to follow you religiously was because I feel like there's so much information that is out there, and every day it does change. First, they say coffee's good for you. Then they say it's bad. Then they say it's
Yeah,
good. Then
it's
they say it's
good.
bad.
Yeah. Right.
Carbs, they're good. No, they're bad. Bread, you can
Right.
never eat bread. You should eat bread. It's like you will lose your mind. So, my thing was, I saw you. I listened to what you were saying. I saw your body. I saw your stamina, your energy, and I thought, well, I don't know if all these other things work, but I know what she's saying must work because look at her. And so I think because we don't have, well, I'll say an overload of information causes confusion. And
Yeah,
I
it
think
does.
that's where we are. And so now you have, this whole, and I definitely wanted to talk to you about this whole age of, um if I don't have it, or if I have it and I don't want to work to make it better, I'll just have surgery. And so
Right.
many
Oh my
Black
God.
women specifically are dying to live up to this standard of beauty that was created by a world called the internet, which really doesn't exist. It's not real
Yeah.
life. And no shade
Yeah.
on the Kardashians, but when
Right.
you really look at
That's
those
what I thought of when you said
measurements,
that.
who body really look like that? Like you, this unrealistic. Like it's
Yeah, it is completely.
right. And so, I mean, I think if we had more people who were being transparent, and I get it, I'm sure people come to you all the time for advice, and I'm sure, as I've learned, everything doesn't work for everybody. So you know what? You may not be able to eat carbs. I can. You may be able to
Right.
eat a lot of protein. I can too, but I have to be careful because my body doesn't break down proteins very well in large quantities. I found that out
Yeah.
because going along with one of these fads where I had almost no carbs but a ton of protein, it just came out all over my face. And so I
Oh, what did
had
you
all
notice?
of these boils on my face, and I went to the doctor and they said, "Well, you have so much protein your body's unable to break it down." And I was like,
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't know that. Like nobody told me that. So again, the raw food diet with I think it was Gwyneth Paltrow at one point was really talking about this raw food diet. And I was like, oh, let me try that. I did that
And
for like,
that could be tough on your digestion.
girl, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I had no clue. And so I just find it interesting in this age of trying to live up to what social media expects us to be versus in real life when you're thinking about aging and you're trying to be graceful about it, but you're also trying to make sure that you're healthy about it. Like what do you think is the most important thing that you can do in terms of diet and exercise to, I mean, everybody's not going to have a body like yours. That's just the truth. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. But what do you think is the most important thing that you should focus on as you're getting older, whether you're in your 30s headed to your 40s or your 40s headed to your 50s?
Strength training, completely. Strength training, um, explosive movements, and protein. Those are
Mm,
super important. Those are really important. And creatine, actually, that's like the majorly like researched and showing like one of the main supplements that are proving has been proven to be beneficial, especially as we get older, because when you hit your 30s, you start to our muscle declines, and
mm,
as we start losing muscle, um, our metabolism slows down. We get that skinny fat look, and then it's harder for us to keep our shape. You know what I mean? And so, and what's tough right now is like you get social media, so you get people saying, "Oh, Pilates is what it is," or now it's spinning, and I'm like, don't do too much of any of that. Pilates is great, but you should do that with strength training. You got to lift heavy shit. Who
mm,
wanna fucking be strong? Why you want to fucking be a weakling? Because one person over here has a svelte body because of Pilates. Usually, it's either they're very young, they're just starting out, they're doing it with something else. Most I would say just about every single Pilates instructor I know does strength training as well,
mm,
because it's great. It's excellent. Excellent. But you have to also work on lifting heavy stuff. And you're not going to get big and bulky. I'm not big and bulky. I know a lot of women who lift really heavy and they're nowhere near big and bulky. That's not going to happen. But there's so many benefits to lifting weights. There's so much out there. I mean, and just to have a healthy metabolism, You have to eat that protein. Carbs are important as well. But you also have to find the right balance and find what works out for you. So, of course, like you said, everybody is different. Some people don't do well on a lot of carbs. Some people don't do well on a high protein diet. So you have to find what works well for you. I count macros typically for myself just because I want to make sure that I'm getting enough protein. I don't really focus so much on the fats and carbs as much, but my carb intake will be is more important for me to have prior and post workout. But those are definitely the things that people need to focus on now in terms of what I'm learning more now is for women, especially where I'm at now in terms of being postmenopausal, is sprinting. And when I say sprint, it doesn't mean you have to run uphill and or get on a treadmill. And I do that, but you can do it on another machine. You can do it like with jumping rope. You can do it on a bike. But that's gonna also work on our fast twitch and keep us able to maintain that fast twitch as we get older.
Yeah.
So like if I'm going to drop something, oh, I'm going to grab that real quick, or maybe catch myself before I fall.
And speaking of
So
that, let me tell you, let me
yeah.
tell you why I know that's important. I think for me, it was the perfect storm. I tore my meniscus, but it was the perfect
Oh,
storm. Let me tell you, it's a slight tear, but a tear nonetheless. And I believe wholeheartedly, had it happened to me pre COVID, I wouldn't have had the injury that I have now. But because I hadn't been working out, um, I'm not gonna say I lost that ability to react quickly, but I think I lost something because it was 2 years that we were on lockdown, right? So I
yeah.
was going to the New Edition concert, baby. Me and Bobby Brown had a date. Yes, God, honey,
Oh my
and
God, that's so fun.
we stopped to have dinner. Me and a group of friends. I was waiting for my drinks to come. I said, well, let me go to the ladies' room. I go to the ladies' room. On the way back, someone had spilled a soda, Coke drink in the floor. I don't know what it was, but I know it had oranges in it. And I
Oh
and I
no.
had on sneakers. I didn't even have on heels. No kid heels, no nothing. I had on sneakers. I hit that orange peel and went into an awkward split, trying to
What?
prevent myself
No.
from falling because it was packed, and I was like, I'll be damned if I end up on this floor. That's not going to happen. Now,
Oh
luckily, I
no.
am flexible, so I was able to go into the split. But what I had not counted on was my ability to react quick enough to make sure that it wasn't so awkward. And the way that I went into the split to keep myself from falling, I ended up with a slight tear in my meniscus because of that. And I thought,
No. Oh my
had
God.
this been pre COVID, I probably would have just jumped up and spun around like, what? But that didn't
Oh
happen.
my God.
So
No.
I'm now nursing it. It's been a year now. It was a year ago. It probably today. It was a year ago in March. And it is the slowest healing thing that I've ever, because I've never really had an injury. And so they started me off with shots of something. I don't know what it was. It wasn't, oh, I don't even remember the name. Orthovisc. I had shots of Orthovisc.
Orthopedic.
Yeah, it was I don't know what it was. And then that didn't work. I had 3 rounds of that. And then I did PRP.
PR. I was gonna say PRP.
I did that, and it is much better, but it's not totally healed. And it's funny because I have good days that I feel like, oh wow, it's better, and then I'll do
Yeah.
something and I'll feel it. It won't feel good, or either it will begin to swell all over again. But they said it's not bad enough for surgery to go in and clean it out.
Okay.
And so I have no idea what else I should be doing. So I was going to PT for a little bit. I've just now gotten back into trying to do some weights, but I can see a significant difference between my body when I was lifting as opposed to how it is now absent the lifting.
So the reason are you so you're not lifting at all now?
I am, but very light
Okay.
weights.
And are you doing that because you're protecting your knee?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm
but
terrified.
what about like so what about like okay, so like with squats and lunges, things like that, right? So
I,
so you
I'm trying. The lunges I can do, but it is a little painful.
how about
Like I
step
can
up?
now step ups I've not tried. Maybe that's something I should try.
I mean, there's certain exercises that you could do that are great for knee health, but there's like this guy named he's a knees over toes guy. So look
Hmm.
him up. He
I will
he
do
actually
that.
had like a knee replacement. from what I understand, he does all this stuff that you're like, oh, there's no way I can do that. But he is now able to do some amazing, incredible things
Oh,
with
I'll
his
have to look into
knee.
that. Because
Yeah.
that's
So
another
look into that.
interesting angle in terms of, getting older as a woman and, we always in things like this right here. And then we get
Mhm.
older and we realize, you know
Yes.
what? This may
Right.
not be my best friend.
Oh my God. I mean, they're hot. I mean, I love that those shoes back there. I mean, I
But
have a
any
bunch of them. I
advice?
can't. It hurt my. As soon as I put them on, my feet hurt.
I was about to say, any advice for ladies of a certain age, and you still want to wear the heels, and but a lot of us, we have knee problems, back problems,
Yeah.
all of that. Like, what would you say? What advice would you give to someone who's like, I can't go kitten heel yet. I'm not. I
Okay.
can't. I can't
Well,
do that.
well, before I get to that, I was just going to tell you that that you should still like going light but high reps to a point where you're really feeling it. But you can also actually go heavier with your upper body, like doing pull
Mm,
downs and rows and you know, shoulder exercises, arm exercises, glute bridges, hip thrusts,
mm,
deadlift, single leg deadlifts. And then there's there's certain things that you can still do heavier, and then just be careful with the exercises that bother your knee for right now until you
right.
feel like you can get into something that's gonna so you don't have to go light with everything is what I'm saying. There's
Got
probably
it.
certain things that you can do where you can go heavier. As far as the heels, oh my God, if someone could come up with some kind of like insert for the bottom of my feet because I feel like I swear to God I'm walking on like if you look at my hands, they're really small, and so I have smaller feet for my height, and they're just kind of bony. So if I'm like walking on, if I had like some kind of insert, like a button plant for my
Yes, yes.
for my
I'm
pad, but
I'm so shocked
I
nobody's created that yet. Something to make it
I
easier
know,
for us in
right?
heels. I don't know what that is.
Something.
But it's funny
I
because
mean,
you wear these amazing clothes and these high heels. And I'm like, how the hell does she do that? Is that quad strength? Is that hamstring? Is it calf? What is it?
I think all of it. I think a combination of calves for sure, glutes, glute strength. Working the glutes, like with the band work, just to make sure that they're activating and firing up. Because when I created the class Best Butt Ever for Equinox years ago, I injured myself. I was teaching a class, my back just popped. I'm like, what the hell? And I didn't know that my glutes were weak, my adductors were weak, and my core wasn't firing. My core was too. I'm like, what do you mean? I do all this stuff. This was like literally probably like it was like more than a decade and a half ago. And I went to PT and they had me doing some glute activation work with the bands. And I'm like, oh, wow, it literally, my butt lifted up and it was stronger. So I bought a bunch of them on Amazon, took them to class, and created this whole workout. And it combines
Huh.
like activation and lengthening and strength and core. And so I think a combination of all that, to be honest with you, I think core strength is very important to hold you upright, right? Glute strength is important because when your glutes are strong, it helps protect your knees and your back. And
Mm.
so imagine your core is not strong, your glutes aren't strong, your knees and your back have to take over, and you know how it's uncomfortable. I don't know about you, but if I'm in heels too long, my lower back can start to hurt.
Oh, it's always
Um,
my feet. My feet hurt. I'm
oh,
like,
well,
can
my feet are
somebody
the
help me
first thing for
distribute this
sure.
weight? So, as you're getting older, what would you say? Because everybody that I know, at least, the dreaded menopause. Like,
Oh my God.
you feel like for as long as I can remember, I am not blessed enough to have had mothers in my life to kind of walk me through what to expect and the changes and anything like that. And I have found, at least for me, it is one of the things nobody wants to talk about. Nobody.
Right.
I think every now and then I'll hear a few people say, "Oh, I'm having a hot flash," or "Oh, I can't do that because whatever." But I feel like it's a great taboo within the community, and just it doesn't matter what race you are, ethnicity doesn't matter.
It's gonna
Everybody's
get
just
you.
like, we just don't want to talk about it. It's like
Right.
Bruno, we don't
That's
talk
true.
about
That's true.
it.
Wait, just like what? Just like what?
Bruno, like we don't talk
Oh,
about Bruno. We don't talk about menopause. Do you think we'll ever get rid of that stigma, first of all? Do you think that will ever happen?
yes. Yeah, I think it's going there. I didn't have that either. My mom had I think she had a hysterectomy when she had me. She had me at 43, and I was like a beautiful accident to her. She always wanted a little girl, and so she finally
Aw.
got me because she was trying to put my brothers in gorilla clothes, and so they're like, "Oh my God, thank God." Um, so I didn't know. I had no idea. I had no idea what to expect. and I would just hear it like from clients or from friends, and as I was getting older, I'm like, ah, hot flash. And then finally one day I was like, oh my God, because I run cold. I'm always cold. And then now I have to sleep with air on. And
So
so
what do you
it's
think
just
about HRT? What do you think about hormone replacement? Good,
I'm doing
bad,
it. I'm doing
indifferent?
it. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
And for the longest, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do hormone replacement therapy. I just want to like, but it got to the point where I was like, oh, fuck that. I'm
yeah.
like, whatever you want me to do, doc, let me do
Yeah.
this because this is not,
Let me do
because I
it.
want,
Let me do
yeah,
it.
I went to a doctor for the first time. I was like, it was before I turned 50. I want to say I was like late 40s. And I went to see her, and she was like, I said, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I just want to get my hormones checked, and something doesn't feel good. I don't feel good. I don't sleep well. I feel just like tired all the time, and this, that, XYZ. She goes, something like, but at least you look good. I'm like, what the fudge? What kind of answer is
How
that?
does
No,
that help?
I want to feel good. I want to
Yeah.
feel good. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And I tried doing I had a naturopath that did help me at first, and that was working well. I was on homeopathic remedies. And then I got to a point where that just wasn't working anymore, and my testosterone was super low, my estrogen and progesterone was super low, and I was just, my brain fog. I mean, I was just forgetting things and just getting really agitated. The hot flashes, I didn't get any night sweats, but the hot flashes for sure got me. But not that bad, because I think because I'm active, that could have been worse.
Yeah.
But my brother passed away, like, I would say about a year and a half ago. And to be honest with you, I feel like that may have kicked it in more. I don't know why.
Mm.
I feel like for some reason that was such, I've never felt
Maybe the
that stress
stress.
before.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe
And I
the
feel like,
stress of it.
yeah, and I feel like that really like got because I feel like it was after that when I went into menopause, because it's pretty recent for me. And I feel like that's what did it for some reason, because things just like, "Ugh." And so I was like,
Yeah.
woo.
And
um
it's so funny because in terms of I think we all have that fear of it, right? Like we all fear like what is it going to look like for me and is it going to put extra weight on me? Is it going
Doesn't
to
have to. Doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. Everybody's different now. Everybody's different. I mean, I know people who don't work out or is as fit as I am, and they don't have a lot of the stuff I
Hmm,
have. So like they're like, I think I'm starting to get hot flashes, but I'm not sure. Weight gain does not have to happen. They say it's a very small percentage of amount of difference.
wow.
Yeah, so it's really lifestyle. So if you stay active, you eat, I'm saying 80/20, that you always hear the 80/20, right? So 80% of the time you're doing your best to be as healthy as possible for you. And then 20% of the time you gotta live. It's
Gotta
like
live.
I used to be like 100, like I'm not eating that. I'm not eating that, and I didn't really ever get like food shamed, when, because I have clients who, if they're eating something healthy and people around them who don't want to see them win, will be like, you're going to eat that, or you're too skinny, or you're going to eat that, you shouldn't lose any more weight. Um, and why are you eating just that? And I'm like, shut the hell up.
Right.
Why don't you just jump on board with her, get on the healthy train and just do, you know what I mean? Let her do her
How
and
about
you do
stay off my
you. But
plate?
yeah,
Stay off my
exactly.
plate. How
Get out of
about
my
that?
plate. Right. So if I go to a movie, like I'm going to see John Wick tomorrow, and I'm going to have popcorn. You know what I mean? I'm going to have popcorn because I want to. I probably have a little bit of chocolate. I won't feel bad about it because I eat very clean throughout the week. Monday through Friday, for most of Friday, I do really well. If I see a movie on Friday, I'm still gonna have it, but for the most part, I get in my protein. I eat lots of vegetables. I eat lots of fruit with my smoothies, healthy um, carbs and fats. And on the weekend, it used to just be one day a week, like a Sunday. But I'm like, if I want to have a little
Yeah.
bit on Saturday, I'm gonna have
Then
a
I'll
little bit on
have it.
Saturday. And I'm not gonna exercise extra just because of that. I'll just get right back on track. You
I'm
know what I
glad you
mean?
said that because I think that's a big thing with especially women. We feel like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, but then I'll have to run a whole hour to do. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I want to, but I just don't.
No.
I just
Right.
I don't. I really don't. Let me ask you something. If what would be the most proudest moment that your mother would say about you?
Oh,
What would be
wow.
the most proudest thing?
that she just had me. I'm just kidding. But
that
she
she
really
gave
wanted a
birth to
little
all
girl.
this brilliance.
I think that I'm a good girl. You know, I mean, it's like I'm I I work hard to please her, and I want to. I don't know. That's a hard question for some reason. I don't know why. She wants to see me. Feels like in her mind I've succeeded. I'm not there yet, but she feels
Mm.
like I'm doing. I'm like this woman who is independent and strong, and I think that and athletic is still at my age, and she goes, "You look so good for your age, my baby." And it's like she's this little Jewish mommy, and then my father was like as black as guitar, and so, and
Well, that's an
so
interesting
she
mix.
and as in her in that era, where I was,
Yes.
in the 60s, early 70s, she had a black baby with her, and people always thought I was adopted. I think just the fact that she sees where I'm at now at this age, and I'm still like vibrant, and I haven't let I don't let the world get to me, though I do get moody at times because of damn menopause. I think she is proud of that. I want to be able to succeed more in a way. She's 97 now, so I'm just trying to.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
she's 97. She's
amazing.
badass. So right now, I guess I could say I'm just trying to continue to succeed in all aspects of life. I'm working on something right now that I'll tell you more about it when it's done. And then I have my activewear line that
Yes, I've been
it's not
watching
where I
that,
want it to be yet. It's not there yet, but
but it
I'm,
will be. We're
we're
going to speak that into existence right now. It will
okay.
be,
That
without
my
question.
business partner and I, we're both women of color, and we're trying to be like, most of these brands are owned by white men
They
or
are.
white women or Asian women, and I don't know of any, like, she's my partner's Latina and I'm black, and so I feel like we want more. I want to compete with those, like with Lululemon and with Aloe and with Beyond Yoga and all those, and Viore.
I don't see why
And
you couldn't. I don't
well,
see
we
why
we
you
need to get
couldn't.
money, so we need
Then there's
money.
that. There's
So
a little thing
yeah, we
called
need we need to
money.
get a grant because where we are at now is not how I want it to be. When we first started out, I had a lot more styles that would be more what's the word I was thinking of? See, there goes the brain fog. But more anyways, just styles that women who don't necessarily want to show their belly would be able to appreciate. So that's my goal, is to be able to have a lot more available for women of all ages, but definitely want to acknowledge us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So to feel sexy and to feel, you want to look sexy in your workout clothes. You want to feel good in your workout
Right.
clothes. And this last collection is just like I had to do something because I don't want to wait too long. It's not what I really wanted, but the more you add to a style, the more it costs. So I had to make it as basic as I could. But my goal is to create more, and I have a passion for it. So I just need the
I think
green
that's
so I can get
beautiful.
there. You know what I mean?
I think that's beautiful. And anything that I can do to support, I will. I say
Thank
that,
you.
I mean that. And I'm just so
Thank you.
proud of, just again, I think as women of color, I think we're blessed enough to be in a time that we remember what it was to be ignored, overlooked. Not to say that we are not still ignored and overlooked, but
Hmm.
I feel lucky to live during an era where I feel as though people like you, other people that I see and I watch, are screaming. You know what I mean? Like, and not vocally, but screaming in what you're doing to show the world that we are here. We are
Yes.
powerful. We are beautiful, and you don't have
Yes.
to again say that verbally. It shows in what you do. And again, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to actually have a woman to woman, a Barbara, this is Shirley moment with you, like, and not on some, you've been with my man, but no, no, no. In
Right.
that, I want you to know that I am proud to say that I am in a circle that you happen to stand in as well. Because I think when we don't acknowledge that in each other, I think it will prevent us from moving into the area of our divine moment. I think all these hundreds of years, I think our ancestors paved the way for us to now shine. Because of course,
Yeah.
like I said, we are nowhere near where we want to be, But when we
Right.
consider, like you just said, your parents in a time and having this little black baby, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And now the woman that you are, even in the way that you said when I asked you about what would your mom be most proudest about, just to hear her say that you are beautiful and you are strong and all of those things that were not necessarily equated to people with brown skin like us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that in and of
Yeah.
itself is beautiful. I really
And I
do.
agree, thank you. And I agree. I feel like we're not we're underrepresented,
Hmm.
and I feel like and I appreciate you doing this and acknowledging women of color, that for what we're putting out and what we're offering, because we offer so much. And I
We
don't think
do.
people, because there's a lot of women in the industry as well that are African American that just don't acknowledge, like, I'd like to see you work with a black trainer. Why not? I'd like to, it's like, I like to see you work with a, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Mhm.
don't speak one way and then do something opposite. So really, like, if you have the platform and you have the ability to do that, like, raise up some other women that could actually. There's so many
Exactly.
black women out there that I know of, trainers
So
too, and
many.
in everything, not just
Yeah.
trainers, like stylists, makeup artists, hair, scientists, chefs, you journalists, you name it, that are so capable and so fucking amazing. Like, let's just, like, raise our voices and our awareness and our, like, just our everything, and
And
just, like,
that's what this is all about. I feel like
yeah,
there's so many of
we
us.
need to come together like this. That every other cultures do it. Why aren't we doing it? Let's stop being crabs in a barrel and like, lift each other out of that barrel
That's right.
together.
You know why? Because crabs can't live in a barrel.
They cannot.
They can't live in the barrel. So fuck whoever said that. You can't live in a barrel.
Come
It's a
on, help
whole
each other
ocean out
out.
there. And
Yes.
again, that's what this is all about. Natalie, I think you are fucking fabulous. I think you're beautiful. I think you're
Oh, thank you.
smart. I think that you radiate such a strength that you can see. And it's not just a physical strength. I think it takes more than strong muscles to get you out of bed every day and say, fuck the world, fuck this whole age thing. I'm going to live my life like it's golden and I'm going to show up every day. Every day ain't going to be Sunday. Every day ain't going to be
That's so
great,
true. It's
but
not.
I'm going
It's
to
true.
show up for it because that's part of
I
the
love
battle.
you. That's so
Showing
true.
up, right? That's part of the battle.
Yeah,
I might
it
not
really is.
win. I might not win, but I bet you what, you're going to meet me on the battlefield. I'll be there.
There you go. 100.
And that's what I see when I
100.
see you.
Thank you. That means so much to me. You have no idea.
I absolutely mean it. Now, one day this body gonna look like yours, but right now
No.
it look like me. I just adore you. Thank you so much. And listen, when I'm going to, do you have anything for big boobs? Not me, because it's clear I don't have big boobs. But my assistant has some, she got some juggies. And so
Oh,
when
does
she
she?
wants to work out, she does, but she'll a top heavy. And so doing workouts can be a little challenging for her. So I don't know if you guys are planning on doing something because some of us sisters, we now I'm bottom heavy, okay?
Yeah, right,
I'm
right,
bottom
right.
heavy, okay? I'm real hippie. I don't have a big butt
Lucky.
that way, but baby, this way right here, I got everything you need.
Everybody's paying for that now. We have some. I am hoping to create that. We tried to at one point, and I do have something I can send to her from an old collection that should be pretty good. So I
I
can
would
send her a
love that,
couple things
but
for
because
sure.
listen, I believe in support. Don't send me nothing. You let me know what it costs. I'm gonna buy it because I
Oh,
want to
oh,
make
you're so.
sure that we're feeding into each other, so that when you step up and you make it, then I step up and I make it, and then I reach around and somebody else step. I think that's important. And again, it's not. I'm not shading anybody. I think when you do freebies and you give, I think that is beautiful. But I think when you are in a position that you can help a sister, you should. That's I'm a firm
Exactly.
believer in that. So you let me know and we're gonna take care of that so she can work out without knocking herself out. Okay.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Definitely.
Look, she looking at me like, don't do that, don't do that. Lena, love you, girl. Boom, boom, boom. I thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. Continued success in everything that you do. Keep shining and knowing that your light is not shining to the point that nobody sees it. I see it, and I will do everything I can to help illuminate it even more.
I love you so much,
That's
sis. I
woman
really
to woman.
appreciate that. Thank you.
And one
Thank
day
you.
we're gonna have some champagne together, a little brunchy brunch, a little
Let's
something.
please do that.
On one of those days that you not, chopping up, I don't know, onions and what was it? What was that you put together? I don't know what it was. I was like, I gotta let her know this
I
didn't work
did
out for me.
fajitas today. I'm not the best
Fajitas.
cook, but I'm a lazy cook. So I'm a functionally lazy cook.
I
That's
don't
what it
know.
is.
You made a protein cookie something. I don't know what it was, but I tried it. It didn't work for me. It didn't work.
Oh no, I'll make some for you. I'll
Yeah,
make
make
some
something
for you.
for me. But in the
Okay.
meantime, we can at least clink some
Let's
champagne and
please
call it
do
a
that.
day.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much. I will
Thank
see you
you.
soon.
Thank you. Mwah.
Mwah. Love you, girl.
Bye. Love you. Bye.